This is going to be kind of a casual, unscripted conversation about the things that I do as a front of the house mixer, and what I feel my mission statements are and what my responsibilities are. Now keep in mind that the kind of gigs that I've been doing are local cover bands that they're not world touring bands. There's local bands, and they don't have they don't have roadies, they don't have a guitar tech. So basically they have me, themselves, and their equipment. So in that environment, I have basically 3 mission statements. Mission statement number 1 is to make the band sound the best they can sound to the audience. Number 2, this one you might not guess, but my second mission statement is to give the musicians on stage the best experience that they can have enjoying playing their music in front of the audience. I'll come back to that. And then finally, number 3 is do everything and anything that I can to help the band to perform, to set up, to maybe to learn and grow, learn a few things about sound and their equipment and whatnot. Let me talk more about my mission statement number 1, which is make them sound the best they can. The bands that hire me empower me to use my own judgment and my own ears, my own equipment, to make them sound as good as I can make them sound. It's my responsibility, first and foremost, to make them sound good to the audience, and that requires a number of things. Keep in mind, sometimes that's a bit subjective, because what they might think they may want to sound like is not necessarily what I think sounds best. But we usually don't run into too much of a problem. They trust my judgment, and they always know they're going to sound far better having me there than if I wasn't there, or if someone else was there. That's my mission statement number 1. Make them sound as good as I can to the audience. Now, the mission statement number 2, give them the best experience. I'm a musician, first and foremost. A lot of people that do sound are or have been musicians. So we kind of enjoy that camaraderie of playing on stage or playing with other musicians and making that music, making that sound. It's joyful to us. And my job is to also help them enjoy that experience, mostly by giving them good sound in their monitors is probably the most important thing. So if they can hear other band members and themselves clearly, they get into the music, they perform better. If they perform better, the audience gets a better experience as well. So it all ties in together. Let the musicians enjoy their craft and give them the best assistance that I can to enjoy it. And then the third thing in my mission statement is kind of broad, but it's to help the band in any way I can. Help them set up their speakers if they need a hand. Run a cable. If the guitar player has a problem with a cable, I grab a cable and run out there and help them with that. So I'm doing a lot of things. Now, in my case, I wear a lot of hats. For example, I'm the sound guy. There you go. There's William, the sound guy. In the second case, I could be a guitar tech, so I have to wear that hat. And in some cases, I even help them move their equipment in and out. I wear the hat of a roadie. And of course, that hat's pretty good because it not only is my roadie hat, it also is my rodeo hat. So it kind of works both. Okay, anyway, you got the idea. Keep in mind that I'm not responsible for the PA system. I don't bring the PA system, and they're responsible for their equipment. I'm just the sound guy, front of house sound guy. I do bring my own mixer 99% of the time because I know my mixers, I know my digital mixers can do amazing things, and there's a million reasons why I would bring my mixer. So I would bring my mixer, bring a table, bring a chair. I bring a big bag of XLR cables and 1/4-inch cables. Even though they should have their own stuff, I always bring a big bag of cables. I also bring other things like common microphones that I might need, or they might need actually. So in this box, I've got a 58, a couple Beta 58s. I have a Cobalt, which is like a Shure 57. Two Sennheiser 609s for guitar amps. I even have a bass mic because sometimes a kick mic. So sometimes the drummers don't bring an adequate kick mic. And if there's one thing I believe in, especially if the music genre is any kind of rock and roll, you have to put a mic on the kick drum. You need to hear and feel the kick drum to really make the music successful. I even keep in my vehicle a set of drum tone rings, which are used to dampen the sound of, let's say, a overly ringing tom. You can't always just adjust the EQ and get the sound out. Sometimes you have to use a tone ring. You just drop that on top of the drums, and it shortens the length of time the drum sounds. So I even have that in my car, just in case. I also am capable of being the guitar tech. That's one of the hats, right? I can change a guitar string, of course, but I can also set string height, string intonation. On the break, I could take a guy's guitar and put on a new string, and if he wants me to check the intonation, I can do that, no problem. Other ways that I help the band is knowledge. There's always something that they can learn from me, and well, there's always something I can learn from them too. One example is I saw a guitar player start rolling up at the end of the night his guitar chords like this, and he's doing this thing, right? And I'm saying to him, no, that's not the way to wrap up a guitar chord. It'll create kinks in the chord, and it'll start just looking really ugly. The way to do it is you go over, under, over, under, over. And even if he doesn't remember, I just tell him, look it. There's all kinds of videos on YouTube. Search for XLR over under chord wrapping or whatever. Let me talk more now about specifics about doing sound. Again, I'm just kind of rambling on ideas. One of the great things that I have is this. Magnetic erasable console strips. Probably can't see it right there, it's fuzzy. This is a Mylar strip. Sticks right to your console because it's magnetic. And you use a wet erase marker on it to label your channels. Even if you have a mixer that has the graphical LCD windows and you can go and you can program names, that takes too long. This is still a better idea. Magnetic erasable console strips available now on Amazon. Another thought about running sound for bands is effects. I've seen a lot of front of house mixer guys set the reverb and delay, and they get it right, the band's happy, and they leave it there the rest of the night. They never touch it. That's crazy. I analyze every single song that the band does and adjust the effects accordingly. For example, long black woman in a long cool woman in a long black woman in a cool dress, or is it a long cool woman in a black? If you listen to the song, see the amount of effects in there? There's more effects in a normal song than another song, a typical song. Same with this song. This is Jump Into the Fire.
You can climb a mountain. You can swim the
Do you hear the effects? My point is I match the effects closer to the sound of the original song. One of the things that I do for every single song, at the beginning of the song, see the flashing light here? Can you see that? I match the beat, the tempo of the delay with the beat of the song. And I'll tap this, and now it's in exact time to the beat of the song. So that way the delay happens at the same speed as the beats per minute. A mix match of the tempo of the song and the tempo of the delay does not help the sound of the song. It's better to be in time with the song. At the end of each song, I hit this button. This is the soft key that I program to mute effects. So when I hit that button, the reverb and the delay are muted. That way, when the vocalist makes an announcement, thank you very much, and the next song is a song that blah 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 blah, we don't have a lot of heavy effects on his vocals. It's nice and clean. I also manage his vocals. So when he makes announcements, I bring up his volume a bit because the spoken word is never as loud as singing. So I want people to be able to hear clearly what he's saying. And then when the song begins, the next song begins, I bring his volume back down, set the beats, unmute the effects. So that is done for every single song. I do that for every single song. Then if I hear they need a little more effects, I go to that effect and either I'll adjust the singer's effect or maybe the master effect. So I constantly evaluate the cover song they're doing and what I perceive that sound needs. I also do it dynamically. For example, let's talk about Rick from Rogues in Exile. The lead singer, Rick, will do a song, Crazy Train, by Ozzy. So I'll look on the set list and I'll say, hey Rick, I see at the beginning of the next set, you're going to start off with Crazy Train. Okay, here's what I want you to do, Rick. As you know, Ozzy goes, I only want you, every band sings, I don't want you to do that. We're pros here. I want you to do one I, and I will add the echoing I's to the sound. So he's super happy with that, and it's a great effect. He comes up to the mic, he goes, I, and then you hear him. So there's a lot of songs that at certain points in the song, I'm familiar with the song, I do the effects. Keep in mind that I always put effects, some effects in the monitors. A lot of musicians don't like any effects in monitors, but I find often that if you give them a little bit of effects in the monitors, then they know what's going on in the front show. Again, remember, we're entertaining the musicians as well as the audience, right? Another benefit that I offer my frequent customers is I do custom break music for each of the entities. For example, the Rhythmatics. I have 4 custom 20-minute break music MP3 files that I've created just for them. First of all, none of the songs that I put in the break music will be any of the songs that they cover, obviously. That's number one. But number two is I put custom announcements in there as well. For example, the break music might start with,
"The Rhythmatics will return shortly. Check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/SoCal Rhythmatics."
Another thing I always do in the break music is, let's say there's 5 songs in the break music that makes the 20 minutes. Before the last song of the break music, I always put in an announcement. So the music's fading from the 4th song, let's say, then you hear,
"Don't go anywhere. The Rhythmatics are about to return."
That does a couple things. One is it tells the audience that the Rhythmatics, the band's going to be back on stage shortly. But number two, the band themselves, the musicians hear that, and they know that by the end of the next song of the break music, they have to be on stage ready to go. So custom break music is one of the extra benefits to hiring William, the sound guy, to do front of house mixing. And I also do effects as well. So for example, with Rogues in Exile, they do the song Pink Floyd's Money, and if you know the song, it starts off with that cash register sound. So I'll start the sound on the mixer, and then they join in, the bass player comes in if you know the song, and then the rest of the band. For the Rhythmatics, we have the song they do is Rain on Me, and there's this sound of rain falling. I add that in there. It sounds, through the speakers, really cool. And then they start the song. They'll also do a song like Jungle Love, and at the beginning it's got that it's funny sound. Well, why am I doing it? Listen to it. So I'll start that, and then they get into it. So that's another responsibility I take upon myself, is for each band on my tablet, I have my announcements, and I have my effects, all in folders ready to go for the gig. I also bring a spare monitor with me. I throw it in the car. If it never comes out of the car, great. But I've got a 1300 watt Mackie monitor sitting in the car in case we need it. I often bring tools. I even bring things like a cable tester. And I mean, if you got a broken cord, you just try another cord. I mean, at the moment in time. But the key is, at least I can tell them, yep, it's a bad cord. So then they can give it to me, and I can take it home and fix it for them for a nominal fee. So anyway, you get a couple ideas of what I do as a front of house sound guy for my bands. And I can't think of anything else to ramble on about, so take care. Don't forget, subscribe please. Write me comments, good or bad. I'll write back, good or bad. And we'll see you on the next video. Take care.